A blunt concave haircut is shorter in the back and gradually longer towards the front. To achieve this style, you will need to start with the center part and then from the apex part down to behind the ear, so that you have 1, 2, 3, 4 sections. Once we have our 4 sections, we start with a diagonal down partings. Target part towards your finger, comb the hair up and away from the section you're going to cut. So you can see that diagonal down, slight diagonal down. Your client's head position is going to be down. Your body position is going to be straight out from the 6 point, and for most of this haircut you're going to stand in one spot straight out from the 6 point. The degrees is 0 degrees. Now because we're cutting on a mannequin, I'm probably going to leave my finger there, and that's going to give a slight elevation, but when you're cutting on a mannequin, sometimes it's really hard to cut right along the skin. If this was a human, to achieve the true 0 degrees, it might be a nice idea to cut right along the client's skin. But I will be using my finger under there and try and keep it as close as possible. The guideline is stationary. Your finger position is going to not be horizontal, it's going to be shifted slightly, and it's going to be shifted to increase length. And you will still be releasing tension near the ear when we get on the sides. The game plan for this haircut is available on the Hairstyling Educational Buzz website under Handouts. So remember, start with the head position down. After you've got your 4 sections, comb right from the root area. Bring that hair towards the 6 point. Remember, with the straight blunt haircut, we kept this hair running in a straight line. But with the concave blunt haircut, we want to shift to make the outside hair travel, because when hair has to travel, it will become longer. So by making it shift, we'll have that gradual increase in length towards the sides. So we're going to shift, have that talk with yourself. Is your head position down? Am I at 0 degrees elevation? Have I shifted my fingers to increase length in the front? And just make sure everything is right before you start to cut. And then just do your cut. Decide with your client how much you're going to cut off, what length the client would like it. And we can see that when we do that cut, we have a gradual shorter to longer line happening. And that's because we pulled the hair towards the 6 point. Then you're going to do the same on the other side, a diagonal down parting, target part, comb the hair up and out of your way. Clip it. And then we're going to take that hair, comb it towards the 6 point. We can see a guide because we pick up a little bit of the hair we've cut previously and use it as a guide. And cut towards that guide. And we see that curve start to happen. I'm just going to clean that up a little bit. Before we start, always measure. You want to make sure you're measuring on the outside and at the 3 point, checking for length and making sure that it is even. Because once we start, this is cutting the rest of the hair. If this line is not even, we're going to end up with a problem, because this is our guide. This is what we need to use and refer to all the time. So now we can see that curved line in here, And that curved line is our guide, stationary guide for the rest of the haircut. So target part, and remember the amount of hair that you use depends upon how dense your client's hair is. If it's thinner hair, you probably can take a little larger sections, but if it's thicker hair, you might take smaller sections. Comb that hair towards the 6 point and take your next comb towards the 6 point. I sometimes like to divide, like at the 3 point, divide this section if it's too wide for my hand size. It depends. Some people are quite comfortable holding all that hair. We call this the 6 point because if you measure from the ear to the center of the head on anybody, it will always be 6 inches. So try that when you have nothing to do. The middle of that is referred to as the 3 point on the head. So that's why we always refer to that as the 6 point center, and then the 3 point is in the middle. So we're going to do a diagonal down, parting on the other side. Remember, when you're starting your cuts, always start on your non-dominant side and then go back and forth from your dominant to non-dominant. Ask yourself, is there head position down? Am I at 0 degrees? Have I finger shifted to increase length? Is my body positioned out from the 6 point? And remember to direct that hair towards the center part. You can also just see your guide underneath and just follow your guide. Check for length on the outside, check for length at the 3 point. Once you reach near the occipital bone, so my occipital bone is about here, so I think I'll put her head up in the natural fall position now because I am at the occipital bone. Comb up and away. Now I'm going to position her head in a natural fall. Add a little moisture because you don't want to cut one side dry and one side damp. Comb right from the root area, direct towards the 6 point, 0 degrees elevation. Make sure your body is at the 6 point, and we are ready to start cutting. Always make sure your fingers are against. You can see I'm slightly turning my fingers a little bit just so I can get slightly closer. Maintain as much of that 0 degrees as possible. Going to do one more section on this side, and once I've done that, because again she has finer hair and she has some layering, this rest of this I'm probably going to be able to just drop down and still see my guideline. So remember, ask yourself all the questions. 0 degrees, shift towards the 6 point, shift your fingers to increase length. Check after each cut, check to make sure that we can see our concave. Clean up your line if need be. There's a lot of loose hairs on this mannequin, and that can happen with humans as well. Sometimes through natural fall of hair, we have to check, is it a loose hair or is it an actual hair that's attached? Whichever one it is, you want to get rid of it. I still like to comb this out into like that heart shape when I'm on the top section, just to give my blunt styles a little more movement, whether it's a concave blunt or a straight blunt haircut. Comb that down 0 degrees. Pull towards the 6 point. Finger shift to increase length. And check your line. Same thing on the other side. And once we're done this, we're ready to move on to the sides. A little bit of moisture. If you cut one side dry and one side damp, you're never going to end up with good results. So always be aware of that. So now I'm finger shifting to follow my cutting line, but I'm not too worried about pulling towards the middle because I can see my line underneath that hair. And as long as I follow the guideline, I'm going to maintain that concave. Just do not cut the point off that's at the side. Okay, so now we'll see we have a slight concave back here, shorter in the back, 6-point center, and gradually longer as we work towards the sides. And now we're ready to move on to the side panel. So just like we did in the straight blunt cut, we're going to do a diagonal down. In the straight blunt cut we used horizontal lines and we divided this into 3. Well, now we're going to do a diagonal down and we're still going to divide it into 3. So the same technique, so it makes your cutting easy. If you have a cutting system, it often makes it easier to achieve all your haircuts and you can cut with greater speed and greater accuracy. So remember, now we want to pull this hair directed back, because when we direct it back, it's going to make it travel and we're going to increase the length. So you're still going to stand straight at the 6-point. You're going to comb this hair back to the 3-point. And we're going to release the tension and trim. Shifting the fingers to increase length. And we can take our next section down, diagonal down, comb this up and out of your way. Comb right from the root area towards the 3-point, 0 degrees, shift your fingers, release the tension, and then you're ready to cut. Remember, your body position should be straight out from the 6-point still. You're still standing at the same place. And then your last section. Just comb straight back towards the 3-point. Sometimes you'll need to use your wide teeth first and then your fine teeth. Shift your fingers, release the tension, 0 degree elevation, and maintain your foot position at the 6-point. And we can see that that haircut is shorter in the back and gradually going longer towards the front. So we're going to do the same on the opposite side. Diagonal down. Comb this hair up and away. And we shift towards our 3-point. So remember, shift your fingers, comb towards the 3-point to over direct that hair and clean up your line. Diagonal down. And that up and away from your section. Add a little moisture. Shift your fingers, release your tension. You'll also remember that you need to check your front to make sure that it's even as well. If your guide is even and you're following your guide, you usually don't have any problems with that. I'm going to add a little moisture there. Comb back towards the 3-point. Make sure you're doing your finger shift, your 0 degrees elevation. And then I like to comb everything right from the apex down, just to make sure that in this center section, right at the 6-point, there's not any loose hairs. And that's our concave blunt, shorter in the back, gradually longer in the front. Starting off with 4 sections, diagonal down partings, 0 degree elevation, stationary guideline, finger position shifted to increase length in the front. The client's head position is down when we start until we reach the occipital bone, and then it moves up into a natural fall position, and your body position is always standing straight out from the 6-point. The blunt concave haircut.